Melochim Halacha Daled in the Rambam. The Abel Kesef. He should not have. He should not amass for himself a lot of silver, zov, and gold. Lahaniach b'gnozov, to place in his treasure houses with his goy's boy, and to be haughty with it, or his noy's boy, or to be show off himself with it. So we go to the Peirush. Rather, he should have gold and silver. He should be able to support the army, the his slaves, the shamoshev and his servants, the whole kesef izov, and all gold and silver. Hashem. He should find to be able to add to the temple itself. They should be ready for the needs of the populace, and for their wars. That is a mitzvah to add. The forbidden is only to oneself, the king. The base Genozov in his treasure houses, Shenema, it says in Devarim 17:17, he shall not add to him. If he did do so, Loika, he gets Malchus. In the beginning of the Melochim, he said that this is one of the transgressions of the 23 mitzvahs that are these halachas. Okay, so the Mishnah cites the Mishnah Sanhedrin 21a, and it says in silver and gold he should not add to himself, only in order la ifsanyo. Rashi explains for his warriors, his slaves, and his entourage. There is shamucha letzor choy atzibo. It has to be in the house of Hashem for the needs of the populace and for their wars. There's a mitzvah to add to it. The Mishnah cites this, Divrei Yomim 29:4. The Melech prepared for the building of the Beis Hamikdash 3,000 kikar, blocks of gold, and Shiurim and 7,000 ingots of silver. And the question that they're talking about what he prepared from the very beginning of the Beis Hamikdash. So what proof is that regarding a David HaMelech? The Rambam explains, it's talking about gold and silver that he prepared for the populace and for the wars, and not for the Beis Hamikdash. Vaz explains that since the Melochim gathered gold and silver to the treasure houses of the household of Hashem, and they gave it to pay off other kings of other nations, they should not wage war. From this, the Rambam learned in Kal that certainly you have to add silver and gold for the needs of the people and for the wars. So the Mishnah cites the Yerushalmi in Sanhedrin, second parak Halacha Vov. Yeshua Levi says it's permitted for a king to have silver and gold to pay off his warriors, his slaves, and his servants for 1 year. And he explained that Rambam didn't write this because in the Bible it's not mentioned. Rae Gann explained that the Rambam certainly is talking about only for 1 year, that if you can add silver and gold for many years, then there's no end to it, to how much he's going to have. How are you going to figure out whether he transgressed? Melochim Chinuch points out, it doesn't say, what does it mean extra? When will he get Malchus? Rashi and Rabbeinu Hoshia explained that Afsanyo, this is the wages of his army. Marshal, in his explanation on the Smag, cites from a certain sefer where it says Litein Afsanya L'Chayaloiso, that they're actually used together. The word Afsanya seems to be the support that is needed by the warriors from the supplies. But Nina Chayes says that Rambam here is talking in Sefer Moetzes and Peirush HaMeir explains it's for the warriors and not the wages of the warriors. That means that the word Afsanya refers actually to the warriors themselves, then rather than for the needs. Regarding when it says you should not have more wives. It's brought in the Gemara in Sanhedrin 21b, as we learned that for a private person he can have as many wives as he can afford. But as far as horses and silver and gold, the Gemara does not say that a private individual is permitted. The Han explains that you don't have to tell us that a private person is forbidden to have horses, because the king's reason for forbiddenness of horses is you shouldn't bring the private people back to Mitzrayim. Only the king can bring them and not a private person. Therefore, certainly that it's permitted to a private individual to add have horses. And the reason that it's forbidden to the king to add silver and gold is that he should not have his heart uplifted by his weight, by his money, and become haughty. But a private individual who adds silver and gold, he will not become haughty because he does not have any position of prominence. Therefore, they don't have to tell us that a private person is permitted to have it. But the forbiddenness to add wives, maybe they will cause his heart to stray from Hashem. It seems to apply even by an private individual. Therefore, the Gemara had to say that for an individual, it's permitted because we have a fear that his wives will cause him to leave the correct path. And Ayala Mishpat writes, since from the Ran it would seem that the reason for forbiddenness of the king to have silver is so he should not become haughty and it seems rule too strongly over the other words, over his subjects, as we find in the Targum of Yonason in Dvorim 17:17. Even if the king will have much money as a matona, so forbidden to him, maybe he will become haughty. The words of the Rambam that all of the kings that he conquers, all of their treasure houses belong to the king, that everything that the king would conquer in war belongs to the Jewish king, and the rest that goes to the rest. They go and whatever they take. Well, it takes half of the entirety. So now the Mishpat Chinuch explained that it's talking about only was taken for a reason for the populace for his own private treasure house. Even though he has a right to half of the spoil, he cannot add it even from the spoil of war. The Ran explains in his second explanation that he can't add silver and gold is that you cannot say that to him means to say that a private person may do so, because it has to say to him that's forbidden to the king to ask for taxes so that he should become rich, only to cover the expenses of his warriors. But if Menashamayim they gave him a lot of money, let's assume he had an uncle who was a multimillionaire, he does not transgress. When he conquers another nation and he finds gold and silver, they're his, because everything that's of the treasure house of the king belongs to the king, and half of the spoils that they take goes to the king. And according to the second Peirush, it's the forbiddenness on the king himself is like we find in the Biyad Roma and Ibn Ezra. They should not punish Yisrael. The king is warned not to extract taxes and customs from Yisrael for himself. But if they come to him out of spoils, it's permitted. The Nechaya cites, we think this is what Rabbeinu Yeshaya, the Ran, our opinion, and he discusses the words of Rabbi Shlomo Even Gavriel as to whether he agrees with them. As we find that the three forbiddennesses that the Torah commanded the king: he should not have wives, he shouldn't have too many horses, he shouldn't have too much money, are ordered in the Rambam according to the way the Rambam did it in the Mishnah and Sanhedrin. In Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Rambam started off with the forbiddenness of horses, because in the Torah it's mentioned before the wives. And Sharikom on the Yerushalmi explains why the Mishnah changed the order from the order that's found in the Torah.